In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the upcoming pattern because there is more storminess on today's model runs than we've seen in the past few. And also, we get to see multiple Arctic blasts just like yesterday, although that last one, if you tune into yesterday's video, we get to see the very end of it. And it really brings some extremely deep Arctic air into the eastern United States, pretty much the coldest air of the season. Each one will top the one before it. It's going to be very interesting. Of course, we will go over all these things within the videos, so stay tuned for that. We still have storminess down here looking at the current conditions. In the Four Corner states and the South Central United States, they've had this storminess here for days, really, and it has not stopped yet. We do see the Northeast and portions of the Great Lakes, very exclusive regions there of the Great Lakes, actually. Seeing some isolated and scattered precipitation here, nothing too crazy. There is just a little bit of precipitation happening here. We'll zoom into these two different regions because really outside of this, there is not a whole lot going on. But we do see that for areas here in Oklahoma, Kansas, Colorado, New Mexico, and Texas there, we can see plenty of this storminess, and there is some moderate pockets of precipitation in there. Mostly these yellow areas, mostly within New Mexico, Texas, and Oklahoma there. So these areas could have some, quite a bit of precipitation with them, given the fact that there has been precipitation falling for a few days. Also north of Albuquerque here, kind of northeast of Albuquerque here, we do have some snowfall coming down for some of these mountains there. Technically the Rockies, the very far southern Rockies, very interesting stuff. Now as we move up to the Great Lakes real quickly, we can see that the Upper Peninsula and the northern lower peninsula there of Michigan have been seeing a few of these showers, but mostly Canada has been seeing these. And then there's a couple interesting things happening here along the eastern seaboard. First of which, we see some precipitation heading northward like this, kind of along the eastern United States. This is the cold front, relatively dry cold front that came through that is allowing the Arctic air to return. Highs over the last few days in the eastern United States have been a lot higher than they have been throughout most of September and October. Today in Virginia, 65 seems to be the high, which is a lot cooler, at least 10 to 15 degrees below what we've been seeing mostly. And it's going to kind of stay that way, right around 70s, mid-60s type temperatures, and it's going to get colder throughout the 10-day to 15-day period. We do see a few of these showers moving in behind the cold front as well, coming in with the very, very cold air. Not too unusual to see that either, so not too surprising. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move on. We're going to focus in on the model guidance for the storminess as well as those multiple Arctic blasts in the upcoming pattern. All right, now here we are taking a look at the upcoming storminess. We'll just move on with this, keep things going, and we can see really once we start to get activity is going to be around the Tuesday the 11th, perhaps a few days from now after the weekend is said and done. What we see is this area of storminess is still here, but we see it start to move northward, which is going to be interesting in itself. We see this storminess here near the Canadian Rockies moving southward, so we're going to see a few things happening in motion here. And what ends up happening is we get a strong low up here in Canada, and we begin to develop a cold front here. And this is racing eastward. Meanwhile, we have warmer air trending in around midweek next week, Tuesday, Wednesday time frame. It's going to be 11th, 12th of October time frame, by the way. So warm air out ahead. Again, just to focus in, but we do have this low pressure system with a cold front coming through, which is going to bring that colder air. And like I said, this one that just recently passed through overnight, definitely a low precipitation cold front. This one that the models are trending at for Wednesday, Thursday, starting out here 12th, 13th, and then we're going to see 14th, 15th here for the eastern United States. Certainly not a low precipitation cold front, as you can see, a very, very high precipitation cold front. Could bring some severe weather with it, depending on where you're at. Definitely going to be something to watch, as we do have the warm air heading in out ahead of it. Cold air coming in afterwards. Could be a decent fall time setup for severe weather, as this is going to be a very intense Arctic blast. We can see it's reaching the eastern United States for the most part. Thursday heading into Friday, that's going to be approximately the 13th, 14th time frame here, bringing quite a bit of precipitation here in the eastern United States and really a lot of colder air into the eastern United States as a whole. Even snowfall here for Minnesota and Wisconsin potentially, even the Upper Peninsula of Michigan with it. That sticks around for a while actually. And then we get an even deeper Arctic blast here by the time we're reaching the 16th, 17th, 18th time frame here. Really deep Arctic air here. Potential for nor'easters to develop along the eastern seaboard. I've talked about that a few times. And in general, quite a bit of storminess hanging out around the cold front as well. Very, very interesting setup. So quickly, let's take a look at the total precipitation, and we are expecting quite a bit here. If you're anywhere in the whites, we're expecting practically no precipitation. Your grays will be 1/10 of an inch or less of precipitation. Your greens will be 1/10 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. Your blues will be 1/2 an inch to an inch. Your yellows will be 1 inch to 2 inches, and then your reds will be 2 to 5 inches of precipitation. And we see plenty of those 2 to 5 inch amounts for the eastern United States now, so definitely trending in a more rainy direction here for a lot of the eastern United States. It has been quite dry, but now we're expecting to get into a bit of a stormier pattern later on in the pattern. We're going to have another 5 days or so of dry conditions, so it'll be a total of about a week or two of more quiet conditions, which obviously we will take after Hurricane Ian and all. But we are going to get back into a more active, but relatively mild active pattern, if that makes sense. More of cold fronts, some weaker lows, bringing some showers and raininess. It shouldn't be anything major as far as the precipitation is concerned. Snowfall, we have seen a decrease in this since there was no, huge low pressure systems heading into the Rockies anymore. If you're anywhere in the grays here, we're expecting a dusting, if anything. Blues will be 2 to 6 inches of snowfall. Purples will be 6 to 10 there, and that's the most we see for the United States. We do see 2 to 6 there in the Rockies, 2 to 6 there in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and also some of the Appalachian Mountains there in West Virginia, seeing 2 to 6 inches of snowfall there at some point during the next 10 days, apparently, which is very, very interesting to say the least. Now, let's quickly take a look at that upcoming temperature pattern. I think this is the most interesting thing happening in the entire weather pattern right now. We have this strong positive PNA that is just really not breaking at all. So we see a total positive PNA there. And this is what it's doing, is forcing that cold air to head around that area. And it is forcing it to head into the eastern United States. Because when you have this warm air intruding into the Arctic regions, that forces that air to go somewhere else, which it can't go to where the warm air already is. So it forces its way into this area that is kind of vacant with more neutral temperatures. And we've been seeing this for a month now, probably, I would say. And it looks to continue over the next 10 days or so. So that's the first Arctic blast that we're already kind of in. We stay relatively cool through midweek next week. We start to warm up as we approach midweek. But look at that. Our next cold front is already coming through here by Thursday, the 13th here. Friday, the 14th here. It's fully engaged in the eastern United States. Then Sunday, Monday timeframe, we see this next one roll through, and this one looks even more potent, bringing those 10 to 15 degree below normal temperatures all the way to the Gulf Coast, the southeast coast here. Very, very interesting stuff there. That's Monday the 17th, like I said. And that one sticks around all the way until Tuesday the 18th at least, and that's the end of our model run 10 days from now. And this pattern does not look to break anytime soon. Very, very interesting stuff. Again, that's probably 3 Arctic blasts over the next 10 days, which is going to be very extreme. And we're going to be featuring, I would say, 80% of the eastern United States. At least that's 80% of the time here over the next 10 days. We're going to be seeing below normal temperatures, and at times far below normal temperatures. Super, super interesting weather pattern we're in. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more weather-related content. We do post every single day with these updates, so if you want to see updates through the winter into next year, be sure to subscribe. Also, like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below with your thoughts. I will see you guys in the next video.